Taylor Swift has done it again. Somehow, without giving a full interview, without sitting down for a press conference, and without spelling out every detail from the very beginning, she managed to turn a few carefully timed clues into one of the biggest entertainment mysteries on the internet. What started as a strange image making the rounds online, showing Taylor Swift standing next to Disney executive Bob Iger, quickly snowballed into something much bigger. Fans immediately sensed that this was not just a random celebrity photo. It looked important, it felt intentional, and in true Swiftie fashion, people did not just look at the picture and move on. They zoomed in, compared details, studied timing, looked at Disney's recent projects, and started building theories almost instantly. Around that same time, Toy Story 5 promotional visuals and billboards began showing up with details that many fans believed were too specific to ignore. Suddenly, the internet was asking a very serious question. Was Taylor Swift secretly working with Disney and Pixar on Toy Story 5? Instagram Deadline Today video. What made this rumor so explosive was the way it seemed to hit several fandom pressure points all at once. Taylor Swift is one of the few artists in the world whose audience has turned clue hunting into an art form. Her fans are trained to notice colors, numbers, typography, captions, outfits, symbols, timing, and even the smallest visual patterns. So when Toy Story 5 promotional material started circulating with the initials TS, cloud imagery, and a style of teasing that felt unusually deliberate, fans did not interpret it as ordinary marketing. They interpreted it as a message. One of the billboard details that caught attention was the use of 13 clouds, a number that Swift fans have long associated with Taylor. To most people, that might seem like a coincidence, but to Swifties, coincidence is almost never the first conclusion. Add in Disney and Pixar using language that referenced Taylor's hit Shake It Off, and suddenly the rumor did not seem random anymore. It felt engineered to get exactly this reaction. That is why the story moved so fast. It was not just celebrity gossip, it was an internet puzzle involving one of the most obsessive fan communities in pop culture. Today, video deadline, the photo with Bob Iger only intensified that feeling. When a high-profile Disney figure posts Taylor Swift and thanks her by saying it was one of my last days as CEO of Disney and a truly memorable one, people are obviously going to start connecting dots. That caption was short, but it created a giant opening for speculation. It did not explain the context. It did not say whether the meeting involved Disney Plus, a film soundtrack, a special event, or something else entirely. And because it said so little, it invited the internet to say everything. Fans began asking whether Taylor was meeting about a Disney Plus special, a documentary, a soundtrack song, a voice role, or perhaps even a larger long-term partnership with Disney. In the age of viral culture, mystery is often more powerful than a direct announcement, and this was a perfect example of that. One photo, one caption, and no extra explanation were enough to create a full-blown online storm. Instagram, at first, the rumor seemed to live in that uncertain space between possible and proven. That is what made it so fascinating. There were reasons to believe it, but there was not yet enough official confirmation to call it real. Fans who supported the theory pointed to Taylor's existing relationship with Disney. This was not a completely random pairing between two worlds that had never touched before. Disney already had business history with her through Disney Plus releases connected to the Eras Tour, and that history mattered. In celebrity partnership logic, past collaboration always makes future collaboration easier to imagine. If Taylor and Disney had already worked together successfully, then another project, whether for streaming or film, did not sound far-fetched at all. On the other hand, more cautious observers reminded everyone that fandoms can sometimes build castles out of breadcrumbs. Viral images, suggestive captions, and unofficial graphics do not always mean there is a confirmed project behind them. That tension between excitement and skepticism is what gave the story its momentum. People were not just reacting to evidence, they were debating what counts as evidence in the first place. Disney Today video and that Disney connection is important because it explains why so many people were willing to believe the rumors from the beginning. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour had already become part of Disney's streaming ecosystem in a major way. Disney officially promoted multiple Taylor-related projects tied to the tour, including concert film and docuseries content for Disney Plus. That means this was not some imaginary relationship invented by fans. There was already a real business bridge between Taylor Swift and Disney, which gave the speculation a stronger foundation than your average social media theory. When fans looked at the Bob Iger photo through that lens, it did not feel like a coincidence anymore. It felt like the continuation of an existing partnership. That is why theories expanded so quickly beyond just a possible Toy Story 5 soundtrack contribution. People started floating bigger ideas like future Disney Plus exclusives, behind-the-scenes specials, animated tie-ins, event appearances, or even more ambitious crossover opportunities. The reason the speculation grew that large is because Disney and Taylor together represent two of the biggest storytelling brands in entertainment. Once fans sensed they might be working together again, their imagination had no ceiling. Disney, then the clues got even louder. Reports explained that Toy Story-themed billboards featuring the letters TS appeared, and a Toy Story-themed countdown showed up on Taylor Swift's official website. That changed the tone completely. This was no longer just a photo and a few fan theories. Now there was a coordinated feeling to the rollout. It looked like someone was building toward a reveal. The countdown especially mattered because it shifted the conversation from passive speculation to active anticipation. Once there is a countdown, fans stop asking whether something is happening and start asking what exactly is about to be announced. And in Taylor's world, countdowns are never ignored. They are signals. So when that countdown aligned with the billboards and all the earlier Disney clues, the story entered a new stage. The internet was no longer simply entertaining a rumor. It was preparing for confirmation. That is the moment when entertainment speculation becomes event culture. Fans begin checking social media every hour, reaction accounts go into overdrive, and news outlets start covering the story not because it has been fully explained, but because the online reaction itself has become newsworthy. ABC News, and then came the answer that many fans had been waiting for. Taylor Swift officially revealed that she had written and recorded a brand new original song for Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 5. The title, I Knew It, I Knew You, immediately turned all those rumor-filled days into a kind of victory lap for the fans who had been piecing the clues together. According to ABC News and television reports, the track was set for release after the countdown build-up, and Taylor herself described the experience in a deeply personal way. She said she had dreamed of writing for these characters ever since she was a 5-year-old kid watching the first Toy Story movie. That quote matters because it reframes the entire story. Suddenly, this was not just a flashy celebrity brand collaboration, it became a nostalgia story too. It became about one of the biggest music stars in the world, connecting with a childhood franchise that helped shape her imagination. That emotional layer made the collaboration feel more authentic and more meaningful than a standard promotional tie-in. ABC News video. Once that official reveal happened, the earlier rumors looked different in retrospect. The so-called detective work was no longer just fandom overreaction. In this case, the fans were actually reading the signs correctly. The billboards were not empty bait. The website countdown was not random decoration. The references were leading somewhere real. And that is one of the reasons this story hit so hard online. Swifties love being right, especially when mainstream observers initially roll their eyes at their theories. Every time a hidden clue turns out to point to something genuine, it reinforces the mythology around Taylor Swift's public communication style. It strengthens the belief that nothing is accidental, that every small choice might matter, and that paying close attention is part of the fan experience. Whether that reputation is entirely deserved in every case is debatable, but in this case, the outcome absolutely rewarded close reading. The mystery started as speculation, but it did not end there. It turned into confirmation, which gave fans the satisfaction of feeling like they had solved a puzzle before the official reveal caught up. Today, video ABC News, the specifics of the song made the story even richer. Reports said I Knew It, I Knew You was inspired by Jessie, the beloved cowgirl character from the Toy Story universe, and that Taylor worked on the track with Jack Antonoff. There was also an emphasis on the song reflecting Taylor's country roots, which is a fascinating detail because it links the musical tone of the project to Jessie's identity and to Taylor's own artistic beginnings. That kind of alignment is exactly what makes a soundtrack collaboration feel creatively smart instead of commercially forced. Jessie has always been one of the most emotionally resonant characters in the franchise, full of heart, vulnerability, and strength. Pairing that emotional legacy with Taylor Swift's songwriting style, especially with a country-leaning touch, makes immediate sense. It gives fans more than just a famous name attached to the credits. It suggests there was a real creative concept behind the song, and from a storytelling standpoint, that is powerful. It means the collaboration was not only designed to generate headlines, but also to fit the emotional world of the movie itself. Good Morning America, Video Today, Video Toy Story 5 itself was already a major release before Taylor entered the conversation, and that context helps explain why the rumor became such a huge pop culture event. Disney and Pixar officially described the film as a toy meets tech story, bringing Woody, Buzz, Jessie, and the rest of the gang into conflict with the electronic world kids are obsessed with today. The release date is set for June 19, 2026, and the official cast includes Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, Greta Lee, and a long lineup of additional voices. Randy Newman is returning to score his fifth Toy Story feature, which means the film was already balancing legacy and freshness before Taylor's name ever entered the picture. In other words, the movie had strong built-in interest, but once Taylor Swift became part of the soundtrack conversation, the film's promotional energy widened dramatically. It was no longer only a family movie story or a Pixar sequel story. It became a music story, a fandom story, and a digital culture story too. That kind of crossover attention is rare, and it is exactly why the online reaction became so massive. Disney movies, Pixar, there is also something especially effective about the way this whole rollout blended old-school Hollywood promotion with modern internet behavior. In a previous era, a soundtrack contribution might simply have been announced in a press release and left at that. But now, studios understand the value of speculation. They understand how a few visual breadcrumbs can generate days of unpaid attention across TikTok, X, Instagram, Reddit, and fan forums. And Taylor Swift's ecosystem is uniquely suited to that strategy because her audience already expects layered messaging. So when Pixar's official account posted a video of Jessie dancing with a caption quoting "Shake It Off," it was not just a marketing post, it was a wink. It was an acknowledgement of the conversation already happening online. It fed the rumor without fully confirming it, which is a very modern form of publicity. The audience feels like it is participating in the reveal rather than simply receiving it. That sense of participation is crucial because it turns fans into amplifiers. They do not just consume the campaign, they help carry it. Deadline Today video, at the same time, one reason this story became so compelling is that it tapped into nostalgia on multiple levels at once. Toy Story is not just another animated franchise. It is one of the defining emotional touchstones for an entire generation that grew up with Pixar. Taylor Swift is also an artist whose career has been built in part on turning memory, emotion, and personal history into massive cultural moments. So the possibility of her writing for Toy Story was bigger than a routine film song placement. It represented the meeting of two emotional universes that millions of people already care about deeply. That is why Taylor's quote about loving these characters since childhood landed so well. It made the collaboration feel less like a celebrity cameo and more like a full circle moment. Fans were not just excited because she was involved, they were excited because the involvement seemed sincere. In entertainment, authenticity is one of the most valuable currencies there is, and this story carried a lot of it. ABC News, it is worth noting that the original speculation went much wider than the final confirmed announcement. Before the song reveal, people were floating possibilities like a voice role in the movie, a surprise Disney Plus special, a cameo appearance, and an even broader Disney partnership. As of the latest confirmed reporting, the official piece of the puzzle is the original song for Toy Story 5, not a confirmed acting role in the film. That distinction matters because it shows how internet rumors often expand beyond the evidence available at the time. Fans naturally imagine the biggest possible version of a story, especially when a star of Taylor Swift's size is involved. That does not mean the excitement is irrational. It means the online conversation often runs several steps ahead of the formal facts. In this case, the facts still turned out to be major. Taylor Swift writing and recording an original song for Toy Story 5 is already significant. It just reminds us that when internet speculation catches fire, the final truth is sometimes big, but not always as big or as broad as the wildest theories suggest. ABC News Disney Movies, the Bob Iger element remains especially interesting because even after the song confirmation, the meeting itself still adds prestige and intrigue to the story. When a Disney leader publicly thanks Taylor in that kind of personal tone, it elevates the collaboration from a routine licensing arrangement to something that feels more symbolic. It suggests that Disney recognized the scale of the moment, and it reflects how valuable Taylor Swift is within today's entertainment economy. She is not simply a guest artist providing a track. She is a cultural force whose involvement can shift the conversation around an entire film. That is likely why the image resonated so strongly. It visually represented two giant entertainment power centers meeting in one frame. Even if the immediate confirmed outcome is the Toy Story 5 song, the photo still invites people to wonder whether more Disney-related collaborations could happen in the future. And honestly, that is a reasonable question. Once a company sees the level of attention one Taylor-connected rollout can generate, it is hard to believe executives would not at least think about doing more business together down the line. Instagram Disney, another big reason this story exploded is because Taylor Swift occupies a very unusual space in media right now. She is both a musician and a kind of living narrative engine. Almost anything she does can be interpreted on several levels at once: artistic, commercial, emotional, strategic, and symbolic. So when her name gets linked to a major movie franchise, fans and media outlets do not just cover the collaboration itself. They cover the clues, the reaction, the symbolism, the implications, and the business impact. That is exactly what happened here. The story was never only about whether she might sing a song for a Pixar movie. It was also about whether Swifties had decoded another hidden rollout, whether Disney was tapping into fandom logic on purpose, and whether one of the world's biggest stars was entering a beloved family franchise in a meaningful way. That is why even a small teaser could dominate timelines. With Taylor, the lead-up is often as culturally important as the reveal. Today, Video ABC News. From a media analysis perspective, the original script you started with has the right emotional instinct but stops at the rumor stage. The stronger version of the story is that the internet did what it always does with Taylor Swift, but this time the speculation had substance behind it. The image with Bob Iger was not just a random viral curiosity. The Toy Story 5 visuals were not just fan edits. The TS clues and lyric references were not meaningless noise. They were part of a build-up that eventually connected to a genuine announcement. That development gives the story a much better arc. It begins with mystery, escalates through fan theory, gains credibility through Disney history, intensifies through visual clues and countdowns, and then lands on an official reveal that validates at least one major thread of the speculation. That arc is far more satisfying for an audience than a script that ends with, "We still don't know." Because now we do know something important, and that knowledge makes the earlier frenzy feel justified rather than pointless. ABC News Today video, there is also a deeper pop culture lesson here about how fandom has changed the way entertainment stories break. Fans are no longer just waiting for official statements. They are active interpreters of rollout strategy. They examine fonts, slogans, captions, and even background art. Studios know this, artists know this, publicists know this. So modern entertainment marketing often operates in a gray zone where clues are planted precisely because fans will overanalyze them. What is fascinating about Taylor Swift is that her fan base has become so sophisticated at this kind of reading that their theories can sometimes look closer to investigative work than ordinary celebrity fandom. In this case, the billboards, lyric references, countdown, and Disney associations created a chain of evidence that was persuasive enough to sustain global attention until the announcement arrived. That is why the story feels bigger than one soundtrack song. It is really about the relationship between celebrity, fandom, and digital era storytelling. Deadline Today video, and of course, this entire moment reinforces something that has become almost impossible to deny. Taylor Swift has a remarkable ability to dominate public conversation even when she says very little. Sometimes all it takes is a picture, a hint, a countdown, or a lyric-adjacent caption to send the internet into a frenzy. That kind of gravitational pull is not normal celebrity power. It is a rarer form of cultural magnetism, where audiences do not just react to announcements but actively generate momentum before the announcement arrives. Disney and Pixar benefited from that here in a huge way. The Toy Story 5 conversation expanded beyond movie fans into music audiences, fan theorists, entertainment reporters, and general social media users who just wanted to know what all the noise was about. By the time the song was officially confirmed, the project had already enjoyed days of heightened visibility. That is brilliant marketing, whether every detail was designed from the start or not. ABC News Pixar, what makes the final reveal especially satisfying is that it keeps its nihilist even while answering the main question. Yes, the song is real. Yes, Taylor Swift is officially part of Toy Story 5 through I Knew It, I Knew You. Yes, the clues were pointing toward something genuine. But that still leaves room for public curiosity about the bigger Disney relationship, the significance of the Bob Iger moment, and whether this collaboration opens the door to future crossover projects. In that sense, the story is resolved and unresolved at the same time. Fans got validation, but they also got new questions, and Taylor Swift stories often work best that way. A reveal closes one chapter while quietly opening another. That is part of why her news cycles feel so durable. They never just conclude, they evolve. Instagram Disney. So if you step back and look at the full picture, this was more than a random celebrity rumor that spiraled out of control. It was a textbook example of how modern entertainment buzz gets created, amplified, and finally confirmed. A mysterious image appeared. Fans recognized a possible Disney connection. Toy Story 5 promotional material introduced details that looked suspiciously tailor-coded. Social media exploded with theories. News outlets picked up the online detective work. More clues appeared through billboards, official captions, and a countdown on Taylor's website. Then the official announcement arrived, confirming that Taylor Swift had indeed written and recorded an original song for the movie. What began as internet chaos turned into a legitimate entertainment story. That is why this moment resonated so strongly. It was not only about Taylor Swift or only about Disney. It was about the thrill of watching a rumor travel through the entire digital ecosystem and emerge, at least in part, as truth. Today video, ABC News video, and in the end, maybe that is the real reason this story blew up so much. People love being part of a reveal. They love feeling like they noticed something early. They love the moment when a blurry theory sharpens into fact. Taylor Swift fans especially live for that experience, and this time they got exactly what they wanted. A mystery that felt playful, clues that felt intentional, and an ending that rewarded their attention. The internet may have started by asking whether Taylor Swift had something to do with Disney and Toy Story 5, but it has now moved into a new phase. The better question is not whether there was a collaboration. There was. The question now is how big this moment becomes once the song is fully out in the world, how strongly it connects to Jessie and the emotional heart of the film, and whether this ends up being remembered as a one-time soundtrack win or the beginning of an even larger Taylor and Disney creative era. One thing is already clear. Once again, Taylor Swift turned a few clues into a full cultural event, and millions of people were more than willing to follow every step of the trail. Good morning, America, Video Disney Movies Disney.